Welcome back. In this video, we'll be covering Module 4 regarding Ansible's ad hoc commands and some of the things that you can do with Ansible without having to write your own playbooks. So in the first example, we're going to be modifying a command that we've already run and looking a little bit at how we can target specific hosts on systems. And so we're going to go ahead and copy this command out. And what we're doing here is we're targeting, if we look at the inventory file that we've created, we're targeting the web group. And so in this case, it's both of the hosts that we have for the simple workshop that we're doing. But the idea here is that you could also have a database group or a group of network hosts or anything else that you would be specifically targeting here. And so running the Ansible program, the -i flag to point at this inventory file, targeting just the web group of systems, and once again, using the ping module as we have previously. The next example is to run a basic shell command using the -a flag, just to give us a sense of some of what we can do there. We're back to using the all magic keyword there, and we have successfully used the echo program. We can also use the command module, which gives us some different options, and there is some nuance to these two that you probably want to understand as you start to work with ad hoc commands a little bit more on your own. But in this case, we're going to once again go back to targeting just the web systems, running the command module, and using uptime and outputting that to our screen. We can also gather facts, and this is a very important construct to work with in Ansible terms, because it gives us quite a bit of ability to select hosts only on, let's say, the OS distribution, or whether or not they have certain packages installed, or they're in certain IP ranges, or a variety of other things like that maybe only the OS knows exactly, because in our case, maybe you have multiple IP addresses assigned to various NICs on a system or something like that. And so you're targeting on one IP address, but you're making other decisions. Maybe it's a two-armed system or what have you. So once again, using the same basic construct and just running the setup module to gather facts on this system, and we can see a variety of things that would give us obviously ability to grep and even parse and even join various pieces of information together for further outputting. So let's look at some examples on managing files and directories next. So we'll go ahead and create a file. And this is just a really simple example. And in this next case, we're going to take the copy module, and we're going to use it to actually copy the file that we just created out to the hosts involved here. And so we see that it's showing that the hosts have both changed successfully, and it's showing a few parameters that are more or less set by default. These are all tunable, but this is kind of the way that they work initially. And so in the next case, we're going to, on just one of the systems, we're going to actually change the permissions. We see that they have a certain permission mode here, and we're going to be changing that in this next example to modify, again, on just one of those hosts, what the effective permissions are now. And so one of the things that we really want to get across in the course of the workshop is the declarative nature of Ansible that we've talked about previously. So the first time that we ran this command, it showed that there was a change. The second time that we ran the command, it showed that it was already in a good state. So it goes yellow in the first case to tell us, yes, I made a change, and green in the second case saying it was already in the state that you wanted it to be. And that declarative nature is a lot more predictable than the imperative approach that you'll often see with scripting languages, and even some of the other infrastructure automation frameworks tend to handle this kind of behavior differently. So very important to understand what happens there and why. So in the next example, we'll go ahead and take a look at this, and what we're doing is we're actually creating a directory. On host 1. So once again, all the same basics that we've been seeing. And here we're picking basically a directory, giving a certain permission mode, owner, group, and calling it a directory. That's how Ansible actually differentiates between a file and something that can contain files. So here it has made that change. And then what we can also do, just to try to get across, once again, some of the things that you can easily do with folders is we can actually choose to make, instead of it being a directory, we can make it absent in this next example. So just that change to the line is actually what took the directory away for us. The next thing that we can cover, and the final thing for this video, is really an understanding how to manage packages. And here we need to introduce the idea of become. And so using sudo or some other privilege escalation, depending on the OS that you're working on, to actually make privileged changes to systems. And so here in the first case, we'll be installing the HTTP package via yum on our system. So on host 1, in the first place, we're running this. And basically, we're using, once again, the yum module HTTP giving a state of present. And here in the second case, and obviously the -b flag as well for become. And in the second case, we'll run this again, and we should see that it's already in the state that we wanted to be. And indeed it is. So in the first case, it made a change, and it gave us actually quite a bit of verbose output about the change that it made, in case we wanted to go ahead and step through that. In the second case, it actually shows that it's already installed. So that's pretty helpful. When we think about the sort of logic of installing something like Apache on a system and then needing to, actually start the service and so forth, we can do that here. So once again, all the same basics that we've been working with. Now we're using the service module. We're choosing the HTTPD service as a name, and we are putting that in a started state, once again, using the -b for become flag. It looks like it has made that change now. In the next case, what we should be able to do is actually return a status on that. And we want to look here, when we do this, we run this command, we want to look at what it tells us. So in this case, we've once again used the command module that we've used previously. We're running service HTTP status. We're using that with the -b flag. And Ansible's trying to be helpful here in telling us that we might consider a different approach and working, with a different module rather than working with a raw command. So it does try to be helpful. There are times when we need to do that, and we need to take the approach that we have. But there are other times where Ansible has enough awareness of what we're doing to be able to at least, hint at some other ways that we might approach that. So in the next, we will go ahead and actually restart the service. And what we should also be able to look at, some of the things that we can be doing, especially as we're starting to get used to working with infrastructure automation, is to actually trust but verify the systems are actually, our infrastructure automation is actually doing what we want it to. So in this case, we run a restart command on that service. So in the first case, the PID was this PID. The second case, the PID is this. So that starts to build some confidence, I think, that we're on the right track, and that Ansible is actually doing what we're asking it to do, truly. So the next case here is going and stopping the service, right? We do see that it comes back in a stop state now. And we can even go as far as undoing this work and actually removing the package entirely. And so once again, we'll run this command twice just to give you a sense of the difference between when it had to make a change and when it didn't. But that covers ad hoc commands. And so we'll be turning our attention in the following videos to actually working with Ansible playbooks and a variety of approaches there.